Okay. So
Wonderful.
welcome everyone to our Biofield Viewer information session. So we have Bonnie, and I see there's a Jen who's joined the call as well. Bonnie, so you're a fellow Canadian. Hello from New Brunswick.
Yes.
I'm excited to talk to you because I'm one of the only people in the country with the Biofield Viewer, and we need to create a community in Canada. So we need more practitioners.
Mhm.
And
Very
Jen, can we have Jen chime in? Where's Jen from?
Although she is allowed to hide behind the
Yes,
veil
she doesn't
of
have to turn her screen.
her own privacy and anonymity, I think that's the word. Yeah.
Or feel
But
free to use the chat too.
and also we're welcoming everyone who is not with us live, but just happens to be keen to see this event, and perhaps they're at work or something, and so they're accessing this through the recording. Welcome to you too. I know Tania galloped off, but I do want to introduce Tania, who is our queen of ceremonies clearly today, and in so many other ways a powerhouse for the promotion and development of biofield imaging. I also want to introduce John Catchpole, who is the actual real wizard of the technology, the programming that's required to keep a system such as ours up to date for all the time that we've.
Dr. Streeter he's on Wi-Fi, so we might lose him a little bit here and there, but that's okay. Between John and I, we can help the lag time in between. Well, I'll start.
Corporation.
I
Oh,
was
there he
back.
goes.
The Western influence of big corporations has sort of guided our development, but we have been around for so many years that that we're proud of that. And
So I think where we'll pick up here is we have Dr. Thornton Streeter and John Catchpole, who are the two gentlemen who created the Biofield Viewer and have been doing research for 30 years in biofield science. Oh, we got
did
you
I
back?
freeze? Did I
Yes, you
freeze?
Yeah, a
froze.
couple of times for
Oh,
half
I'm
a
sorry. Well,
10
anyway,
seconds.
why don't you carry on, Tania? Because I was really only just introducing you two, John and you, Tania, and I'm obviously me. So perhaps, yeah. Why don't you carry on?
Sure. So with the Biofield Viewer, I met Dr. Streeter a couple years ago and I fell in love. I was at an energy healing conference in Utah and sat in on one of his lectures and his presentations. And when I saw the capabilities of the Biofield Viewer, especially from an energy healing practitioner standpoint, my jaw hit the floor. And because essentially, as Dr. Streeter likes to refer to it, the biofield viewer is digital clairvoyance in a sense. And for people like energy healers and holistic practitioners, it really helps either reconfirm your work or it helps you be able to find and look for energy congestions very simply, very easily. And it also, what I find with our clients is it gives them a better understanding of their energy, which helps reinforce the efficacy of our modalities and their own healing journey because they have a way to measure the energy in their bodies. And very different from like auric photography, which sort of shows like a more, I look at that as more entertainment value, where the biofield viewer will show you where there's congested energy. And congested energy can show up as physical dis-ease in the body, or it can show up as emotional blockages as well. And so it gives us a really good meter to be able to look at the energetic health of ourselves and our clients. Because the biofield viewer has two different platforms. There's a professional platform that practitioners can use in like a clinical setup, and I'll show some imaging on the screen in a few minutes of that. But we can also, John has been working on Biofield Viewer Live, which allows us to take live biofield imaging from our cell phones, which is brilliant because it allows us as practitioners to take a set of imaging, but it also gives us the opportunity to do it at home or to have our clients follow up individually and monitor their progress. And some of the images I'm going to show you right now they're a 15-minute energy healing chakra balancing, the before and afters. But depending on, you go for massage therapy or chiropractor, acupuncture, depending on what your modality is, you can do before and after imaging. So with that said, I'm going to pull up the presentation, and then I think that'll give John and Thornton and I an opportunity to talk about some of these images. And if you guys have questions, by all means, let's have an open platform, put it in the chat, raise your hand, and we'll keep the discourse going so we can answer any questions.
Right. Well, whilst you're bringing your slides up, I do want to add that I think the primary reason for biofield imaging as biofield viewer to be available in an individual's phone is really honoring the individual to be kind of in charge of their own journey and choose therapists and healing modalities from their own individual perspective, and to track the progress of those chosen modalities. 100%, I agree, Tanya, you need to know what the images mean. And so obviously having the guidance from a trained practitioner is important. But I don't believe in adding any controls on the Biofield Viewer Live, because I think that people's individual psychic abilities are activated the moment they see an image of themselves.
Thank you.
Okay, that's go on.
So to take a typical image, this is there's two different views. There's a chakra view and there's a biofield view. And just today, to give sort of a high level overview, this is the chakra viewer. And what we do is I put them in a space where it's a white background, almost like taking a passport photo. You light it up with a light, and we stand them back, and we're working on getting shadows away from their face. And when we do take a proper set of imaging, we come up with images that look like this. And here you can see I have before and after imaging. So this is before and after a 15-minute chakra balancing session. But I've done before and afters after salt baths, massage therapy. I've done it after a bunch of different modalities to see if we can change the energy no matter what we do. And we absolutely can. Even just going for a walk outside barefoot or being on the grass can change our biofield. And the biofield viewer will show us. So what we can see in this image here, where I've got the cursor on, is we're looking for hot pink and red energy, because we're looking at light frequencies, the color of light frequencies, and the hot pink and the red are the slower moving frequencies. And so at first glance, we're looking at in and around her biofield, we can see there's congested, slow moving energy. On her face, it's almost like Chinese face mapping, where we can read their face. So here I can tell that her third eye is congested with energy, which might be three-dimensional thoughts, cell phone usage. It often, you can see if they have migraines as well. You can see it will show up with the hot pink congestion here. We can tell if they spend too much time on screens or if they wear glasses. Here, we're able to see the congestion in her eyes. Now, this particular client does wear eyewear, and she spends a lot of time on screens. So we can see congested energy there. She did have a sinus cold when we came in, so we could see that there's congested energy in her sinuses. And she was menstruating. So here we're able to see on her chin her hormones, and we can see some congestion. Looking at her throat chakra, we can see that she wasn't speaking her truth, and she was shielding some energy across her heart. Now, in this particular situation, this is an emotional case for the most part. And so she had matters of the heart, and oftentimes we see grief like this as well across the chest. Now, in an anatomical, physical type situation, that could also show if there was a smoker or vaping, it could show congestion across the chest. It will pick that up as well. And this particular client had some digestion issues, which we were able to see. It showed up congested energy in her solar plexus. So here, and then oftentimes too, when we see the hot pink going down the arms, we're able to pick up frustration. And we can see, so my take on this was that she was frustrated and she wasn't able to speak her truth about matters of the heart. Once I went in and did an energy healing session or the 15-minute chakra balance, and we were able to pull up and discuss a few of these things, we can see just in 15 minutes and without having any training on the color interpretations, it already feels lighter. Right? We can see the energy feels lighter than it did in the original image. Now, to trained biofield viewer practitioners, we understand what all of those colors mean, the saturations, the hues, the tones, the thickness of the banding we understand. So that's as trained practitioners, it's our job to be able to learn to interpret these, which is very easy. And I find that it's a really intuitive program because for me as an energy healer, I'm able to pick things up, seeing the congested energy, but yourselves in your chosen modalities are able, like I know, a woman that we were working with focuses on the meridians. And so she was able to go in and automatically read that following the congested energy in the meridian lines and was able to come up with her own analysis. And so it's a really intuitive and simple, easy to use program, but it's so insightful. As Dr. Streeter says, he calls it digital clairvoyance because it's giving the work, as an energy healer, I'm going in and I'm intuitively sensing this, and you have to build trust and you have to build a whole relationship. When you come into a biofield viewer image, it's incredible because you can pull it up in front of them and it's right there. It's
Yeah.
wild. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
I would add, no, not at all. I just would add that I think what we're really effectively doing here within the holistic community is nurturing this sense of precision guided healing, where you can actually see in real time. These are obviously still images which bookend the session, but this is a live system which allows the operator, a bit like turning the lights on in the operating theatre for the holistic practitioner, to now really see what's going on moment to moment and adjust their healing in real time. The other thing, of course, is that by addressing this full body process, it's not even a diagnosis because we don't need to assess and in the way that traditionally a doctor would make a diagnosis, because everyone involved can see in real time what's going on, and importantly they intuitively know the implications. So in a way you don't really need to ask what does this mean. What you need to notice is that it clears up and changes with healing. And so we're able to own these progressive changes of healing without getting bogged down in the pigeonholing of diagnosis. And I would add, I often joke, diagnosis is a word from the Greek, which means die, to. A always means not, and gnosis means to know. Diagnosis means two people don't know. And we really need to move beyond that to a real knowing where we can track the progress of any treatment in real time. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. So let's take a look at the after image to further reinforce what Dr. Schroeder was saying is afterwards we can see that hot pink and congested energy. The banding lines are thinner. This is again 15 minutes. And so we can see that by just working through some of that the chakra balancing and balancing her centers or her energy centers, we were able to clear up all of that congested energy and bring it up to the surface, which allows for healing. And we can see here, as I had mentioned before, she had a bit of a sinus congestion. Well, you can see she still has sinus congestion. A 15-minute chakra balancing session isn't going to fix that. That's going to take some time. Same with her eyes. She wears prescription eyewear. I was able to take off some of that congested energy, but because she still has a pre-existing condition, we still have a little bit of that congested energy. So you can see how, and sometimes even when I do a before and after imaging, the after imaging actually looks worse than the before imaging because I had energy moving, we got the energy moving through the body. And now, we might need a follow-up session. It's not necessarily a one and done. When we look at the other image, I brought this one up because we actually have, there were some injuries here. So we can see that injuries, shoulder injuries, and things like that will also show up on the Biofield Viewer. In this particular case with this gentleman here, we can also see that there was some dental work required. And so this allows you to really scan someone's body and start to ask questions, because I find too, like a client will come in for a session and maybe they'll just bring, the first and foremost issue that's going on in their body. But, once we do a full body scan, we get into the legs and realize that maybe there was something going on there. And as we know, it's all connected. And so this gives us a full reading on, things that maybe they don't think to bring up, old injuries, old surgeries, operations, the things they aren't bringing to the table for your session. You can therefore get a concise, cohesive picture of their energetic health. Dr. Streeter, did you want to chime in and add anything to this while we're chatting away here? Or does anyone have any questions?
I hope, but I would say I can't see your slides anymore. So I don't know whether that's because of something at my end or whether anyone else cannot see your slides.
Oh, okay. Can anyone not see my?
I can see them. Yeah.
Okay,
Can see
that's
them?
good. That's good. That's
Biofield
good.
Life, 2 columns of 2 pictures. Yeah.
Okay, great,
Okay,
great. I'm
perfect.
really happy. I'm really happy to hear that. I think for some reason my connection is just a little squeezed today, and it's quite uncommon, so I'm not going to be upset about it. But yes, I mean, just listening to you and how much clarity you have. Um, I mean, let me speak about Biofield Viewer from our perspective. Like we've developed a tool for healers, for practitioners, and for individuals. It's certainly not a tool to replace healing. This is an opportunity to add a system to whatever it is that you're doing, which is going to support your healing modality. I would add that the imagery that your clients get helps them own the healing that you're doing because they can see it week by week improving, not just physically in terms of symmetry and brightness, but they feel those changes when they connect with the image. It's a kind of bringing up into the conscience of that which we unconsciously know. So yes, it's, and also time wise, you can do a biofield image in 30 seconds because your wall is set up, your light is on, and so you still got the full hour or hour and a half for your session. This is not something that takes 20, 30, 40 minutes out of your session and therefore perhaps means you see less people in a day. On the contrary, this is a tool to improve efficiency on every level. But it's also a challenge because you're going to see your own work being revealed in real time. And I know you're going to get better at it because it's going to fine tune your skill sets. You're going to go, oh, what's that still on the lady's shoulder? And you're going to go back and clear it. You're going to have protocols that change. All kinds of things are going to get better as you work with our technology. That's certainly my challenge. I don't know anyone who doesn't benefit from the technology, and we've never had a system returned. We've had a few people retire and ask us if they can donate it or give it to someone else, and we say yes. Our training is unlimited. Therefore, if you retire, we're going to train whoever you allocate your machine to as if they just bought the machine themselves. So we are offering a seamless service with 30 years experience, and we just want more of you to join this family to shed light on what's really happening, not just with healing, but with healthcare in general.
Well, thank you. And so if everyone can see on the screen here, can everyone see we've got 2 sets of full body imaging here? We can see
Brilliant.
that? Yes. Okay. So this is a typical in-studio session with me. You would come in, and this takes about 15 minutes to do before imaging. And ultimately, I mean, you don't have to do before and after. You can just do one set of images. But just to give you clarity as practitioners, because I'm assuming, and Brenda joined the call as well. Hi, Brenda. Um, I'm assuming we're all practitioners here, correct? Jen, I believe you sat in on the conference on Monday. I'm not quite sure if you're a practitioner or not. Um, but this kind of gives you an idea. I find to do full before and after imaging, I need an extra 30 minutes to my session time. 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after. It takes a couple minutes to do the imaging, and then you want to sit down with the client and kind of go over the imaging as well. So I find that's about a 15-minute process if you're efficient. And once you understand what you're going through here. And then I send imaging like this to my clients after their session so that they have it. So I do the before and after imaging, and then they have these results, which I think are fascinating. And like, if we're going to look at this particular client here, we can look at her posterior image here, and we can see that there's some shielding on her back. So this particular client actually had some back pain, but she also had some heart issues going on as well. And so we can see the congested energy here. Even into her legs. This is kind of interesting. We can see knee injuries, arthritis will show up, poor circulation. If there was a broken leg or a broken bone, we'll often see some congested energy in and around wherever that joint, that bone, that muscle might have been where there was an injury. So it really shows everything. Like, there's nothing a client can tell you what they want to tell you, but when you put them on the Biofield Viewer, it shows everything. You can't hide the energy there. And so it's really beautiful because it really helps further drive home that everything is connected. And we try to explain that through our articulation and our words when we're working holistically or through energy healing. But sometimes our clients can't really grasp what the unseen, and they need that tangible asset to really understand what's going on to their body, both energetically and anatomically. And this is why I love the Biofield Viewer, because it shows that. We can use it we can use it with our animals. I love doing events with these trade shows. I did a sound bath ceremony where we did before and after biofield imaging of people who showed up for a sound bath. So it was very different. They were fully clothed in those images, but it was able to show the efficacy of just an hour sitting in a sound bath. The before and after imaging. So it's incredible what it shows up. And I also use a screen recording software when I'm doing live biofield healing on screen, so that we can actually see the phase shifts happen recorded. And on some of my social media, I've got some videos coming with clients who've given permission to post that, where I've shown you can actually, if you watch the video, you can see that subtle phase shift of their energy actually changing with your modality through your session. And it's mind-blowing. And you can also bring other people in. I've had fun with it where I've brought in couples or family members, and we do their biofield imaging, and I show them how their energy changes. So I've really had a lot of fun outside of the clinical aspect of it, just playing with energy and, playing with different modalities, a before and after a salt bath. The simplicity of just taking a bath in salt and the power of what it can do. So I love showing how my clients and people online, just how simple it is to shift our energy. And like I said before, the Biofield Viewer, you had to really work with your words and articulate it and try to sell them the concept. Here we can show them. And that's the beauty of the Biofield Viewer and why I'm so passionate about it. And I'll talk about this for hours to anyone who wants to listen. So does anyone have any questions for us? Or Jen, I think you were in the conference on Monday. Did you take any images that you want us to take a look at through the Biofield Viewer Live? Any questions?
Maybe if you turn the slides off for a second so we can all go back to seeing each other. There we go. Clever you. I mean, there always are so many questions, but I think, just giving people the privacy of taking their own biofield images would be sensible. So in that regard, why don't you queue up that little 3-minute video that you've got which you made of that young lady taking a set of her own
Oh,
pictures,
yes, I can do
because
that.
I think that would be a really good cue here, and then we can perhaps talk over it as well. But I think that the most important thing is to optimize the opportunity. So many people send me pictures, and I get limited by what I can speak to because of the shadow on the image. I mean, let's face it, the sun is extremely bright, and our biofields are kind of in the, you know, narrow range of sight, which you have to have a specific criteria to measure, like a biophotonic shielded room. You don't even, you have to even cut out the neutrinos. But anyhow, this is an opportunity, obviously, for people to take a set of images based on our cues today and join us on our next adventure, and even individually. I mean, there is definitely a need for that moment of privacy sometimes, and I'm quite happy to entertain that as well.
So,
Right. Okay.
Bonnie, can you see the video on screen? I don't know, or you can't see it, can you?
Yeah, I can see
Oh,
this
you
one. I
can't see
think
it?
it just cut out. Yeah, I think it just cut out for a while. Yeah.
So I'll kind of stop and start the video a little bit so it doesn't go so fast. So this is the type of lighting that we're looking at, is
Yeah.
finding that bright spotlight that Dr. Schroeder was just talking about. And
Well,
this
it
video,
also it gives
sorry.
us uniformity as well, doesn't it? If I take
Mhm.
a picture in a lit environment where the sun isn't moving, then I can take a picture a week later, and there's an opportunity to do science. Whereas if the environment changes because the lighting isn't standardized, carry on.
So after the lighting, we have to find a suitable backdrop. So whether we're indoors or outdoors, a white drywall wall, or like at home, I use a big pull-up screen, or you could hang a cloth or a bed sheet even, something to create a white backdrop. And so in my little studio, that's what I have, is the white pull-up screen that allows me to have it controlled. But then if we're outside, I'll just go find a light background. So we need the light, the background, and as we're getting into the attire. So we wear for Biofield Viewer imaging changes. We want to wear white organic cotton is ideal, or light colored. And Biofield Viewer reads skin. So the more skin the Biofield Viewer sees, the better. And the more accurate the reading that you're going to have. So we want to wear white or light colored clothing is always what I tell my clients. For anyone with long hair, you want your hair pulled back into like a ballerina style bun, sort of mid back. So it's off the nape of your neck so we can see that. But we don't want it up too high as well. We want to take off all piercings, jewelry, things like that, any metal glasses, and we don't want to use metal clips in the back of our hair either. Um, and for men, I always say white shorts or undergarments, bathing suit. And then for women, like a white sports bra, tank top, or undergarments. Sometimes they come in a bathing suit. And then sometimes I have some clients who, are comfortable enough and want a full body imaging without any clothing. So, depending on the comfort level, not everyone is at that level. A lot of people want the modest. So, we just kind of work accordingly. If it's someone who's really modest, but we have to look at something that's going on with, the abdomen area, I'll just, for the image, for 2 seconds, I'll have them roll up their tank top so I can grab the image. So, we try to have bedside manners and handle this with the most amount of what's the words I'm looking for here? I'm running out. Respect and
Grace.
grace. Thank you. And by taking this image, because it is vulnerable, and we're photographing their energy, which is, in my opinion, a very sacred uh, process. And so we want to ensure that we're still honoring and respecting the fact that we are photographing some of their most sacred energy. And here,
Well said.
so I'm just going to stop and start the video here. If anyone has questions, feel free by all means to keep it casual. I don't want to keep anyone. Okay, so here we go. You can see here, this is the screen I was talking about. And we have the imaging set up. It's set up about 5 to 6 feet away. You have to take some before imaging as part of the training process to learn where your baseline is, which is very simple. Once you understand all of this, it's very simple and it's very intuitive. And you stand about 4 or 5 feet away and you're able to take the imaging. As a practitioner, we use a camera, like a computer camera. But as someone who's doing it like through Soul Mirror or Biofield Viewer Live, you can simply put your phone on a tripod or have someone take the imaging for you, making sure that we can see here that, she's free of shadows on her face, right? Keep it going. Any questions? Okay, so for upper body imaging, I do anterior, posterior, both lateral images. What we do is just have them take a breath and relax, and then we take the image. This particular video was made so that a person could take the image themselves. That's what we designed this so that it didn't have to be in a clinical type setting. So you can see here, she sets the timer and is taking her own imaging. So it's very, very simple for the information that we're able to garner afterwards. So you can see here, she's taking her own sets of imaging. In my clinical type setting, I'm the one doing the imaging for this.
It is interesting when you see young people, or anybody really, who has something like tattoos on their body surface. If you just see the biofield image of that, you often have, a double take. And so getting a baseline normal photograph so that one can just clarify what's body art and maybe what's a scar. I think that certainly helps, and that's what we're doing here as well.
And so I would say the biggest challenge of learning the Biofield Viewer is learning to take proper imaging. And I stopped this slide here for a reason, is because I want everyone to be aware of the shadows. These types of things are not what we want to see in the imaging, because this is what's going to skew your results. So really, that's the biggest challenge is learning how to take an image with shadows. Continue.
And my trick about getting rid of shadow is by asking the person to either step forward or step back, because then the shadow either disappears directly behind them or falls to the floor and you can't see it on the screen behind them.
And then here we can see she lowered the camera, which is essentially what I do. If it's clinical setting, I lower the camera on the tripod. If they're taking it at home, they can lower the camera and take their imaging and do their full set of imaging on their own, just with a timer and taking the images. So you can see it's very simple and it's not an expensive setup. We can use it also outside. You can absolutely use it with full sunlight. So here, I'm going to show this image. I'm going to pause it here. This is what happens when you have too much shadow. I don't know if you can look at the image, if you can see how it's all distorted. That's why we really have to drive home taking proper imaging, because proper imaging is what's going to give you the best results. And not to mention, your clients will be blown away by this. Everyone loves seeing their energy. So here you can see the proper imaging, so we can see the difference in the results. And then you get your full set of images.
Brilliant. I mean, the fact that you don't have to drive to a local medical facility and lie in a machine and drink a radioactive meal and, often pay out of pocket, this is something you can do on your phone. So lining people up for sort of shadow awareness is a fairly simple process. I mean, we're making something incredibly accessible here, because ultimately you can take a picture of anyone, anywhere in the world, with any kind of imaging device and get to an online facility afterwards and process the image then. So there isn't anywhere on Earth that you can't do a biofield image currently.
Well, and as a practitioner as well, for holistic practitioners, our clients can do virtual sessions because they can take their own imaging and email them to you, and you can run them through either the professional version or the monthly version, the online version, the live. So you definitely have the flexibility, I think, which is great in today's world with a lot of practitioners working remotely.
Yeah, and we're also not selling a machine to anybody. Machines, they cost certain amount of money, often in medical terms, thousands and thousands of dollars. They often need servicing and upgrading and repairing and often replacing. And so just being aware that, clairvoyance really is a kind of nature or an aspect of our nature. And so for us to make it accessible through all the kind of programming and training of education, looking and seeing at things, it really isn't that much of a challenge to understand that we only need to use a normal camera, and then just persuade the camera to show you in real time what you're not noticing.
So, Dr. Schroeder, do you want to explain on the screen here? I'm hoping everyone can see. I have two sets of full body imaging, before and after, but there's Chakra Viewer and there's Biofield Viewer. Do you want to give a brief explanation as to the difference between the two different toggles? Did I lose Dr. Schroeder?
Sorry, it's classic. I was actually experiencing a bit of a freeze then. So I didn't hear you. I saw the images momentarily of that gentleman, but then I didn't hear anything beyond that.
Oh, okay. So I had
Yeah.
made mention that we're showing two sets of full body imaging before and after. One is Chakra Viewer, one is Biofield Viewer, and I had asked if you'd like to
Yeah.
give a brief explanation of the difference between the two toggles in the program.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I think that that is a very important thing, especially as through all of the years of experience of using these two filters, if you like, we can speak to completely different aspects of the human experience. With Chakra Viewer, we can speak to more the infinite aspect of the human being and the revelation of the soul in its current form, and therefore the emotional status and the sort of more kind of long tide realities of each individual. Whereas the biofield viewer, we speak to the systems of the body. Unless you're a medical doctor, you don't want to go anywhere near discussing the organs and such like anyway. There's quite a lot of policing about that. But we can speak to the systems and therefore the skeletal system, the digestive system. And so when I look at a biofield viewer image, I'm immediately alerted to, the energy associated with the skeletal system, for example. So I can see a shoulder or a knee injury or a foot or something that catches my eye. And then I can start in my own mind unpacking the individual's state of health on all dimensions. The biofield viewer can often have a different image to the chakra viewer image, even though we're looking at the same person taken effectively at exactly the same moment, but processed differently. And so, what we can say from this difference is whether an issue is more of an emotional concern that has not yet appeared as a physical condition and therefore perhaps can be treated more gently with more of a healing approach, or the other way around, this is just a physical injury that isn't really affecting any other aspect of this individual, and so we'll just give the palliative care required for this physical injury. Later on we may see something in the system of the being of the individual, but yeah, I mean, I think they're both hugely relevant perspectives, and really what we're doing to create Chakra Viewer is just taking the image slightly out of focus. And I think that's the key thing, is that we're in school, we're guided to look at the pencil on our desk and the blackboard, and the pencil on our desk and the blackboard, and the pencil on our desk and the blackboard for 10 or 15 years. Now it's the computer and the whiteboard, but it's still the same, focusing here, focusing there, focusing here, focusing there. And I think that has limited human sight.
Thank you. Well, I think it's amazing as well because I've had clients where I've done a scan on and I'll do a reading and interpretation, and they'll be like, nope, nope. And I'll get things, what I think was an error. And with one particular client, and I thought, okay, I was just having an off day. And then I saw that client about a month later, and I actually apologized because I was like, "Oh, it must have been an off day. Let's look at it again." And he actually says to me, "No, actually," because I had asked him if he had some dental issues going on, and he said, "Nope, nothing, nothing." And then about a month later, he said to me, "Actually, I have a dentist appointment this week." So it actually picked up on a pre-existing condition that hadn't been discovered yet. And that's what's amazing about the Biofield Viewer is that sometimes we can, open a can of worms here and start to uncover more than maybe we asked for. But with that said, I also want to show another slide here before we have to go on. Oh, here's one. The Biofield Viewer, the professional version, not the online live version, also has a 3D viewer, which allows us to see the ebb and flow of our energy on the surface as well. So I don't know, Dr. Schroeder, do you want to say anything about the 3D viewer? It's frozen. All right, well, we're waiting for him. So that's an option there is that we also have that view available. And then there's Pedal. And Pedal, this is now I'm using the professional version here, but Pedal is how we can do with our animals. And what's amazing is this little guy right here actually had an eye infection, which we can see here on the Biofield Viewer. And we see some congested energy. He had an enlarged prostate. So we were able to pick that up with just this type of imaging with his mom there and him on screen. We were able to pick up that information as well. So, I mean, what we're able to pick up, and as a former life of mine, I have a construction background and I've been using these on interiors as well so that we can, photographing an interior and we can take a look at the congested energy in an interior space as well. So the possibilities are essentially where our minds limit them, and it's limitless. And we're Dr. Streeter and John have been working to sort of push boundaries and find other ways that we can use the Biofield Viewer to measure energy. So
Yeah, that's
that
totally true. Yeah, if you think about it, it's just a camera, so it could be applied to astronomy, laparoscopy, microscopy, any scientific endeavor. And in a way, that's why we don't want it pigeonholed as some kind of medical device of any kind, because this is just a technique of seeing biological systems in their natural state. And observing the changes that occur when they're influenced by different processes. And that really travels well beyond medicine. But it does allow us as individuals to see and choose wisely. And I think that's where we've gotten to in the world. There's certainly a divisive political arena, but in terms of our own individual wellness, we've experienced quite a dark age of toxicity, and we owe it to our children to come up with tools that can really track what's going on, so that we can find the best solutions. And definitely that is how John and I see our contribution to this field.
Does anyone have questions or would like to chime in? I'll check the chat here.
I think if there are no questions, Tania, it means you've just done a really good job. But I do want to make sure everyone sees and has access to our freely open portal. Obviously, we want you to just have a look, but ideally, we would love you to join our colleagues. And if you want to do that, you can just directly jump to the biofieldviewer.com website. And have a look. I have to commend John, because for the last few weeks he's been working double shifts to upgrade our technology so that everyone in the world has really access to live biofield. And it's a massive achievement. It's an absolutely massive achievement, and I hope he has a fabulous long holiday as soon as possible.
Thanks, Thornton. Yes. And my video's gone at the moment. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. I do need to take breaks. It's a very important part of health, and that's what we're all about. So yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I think to round that out, as we round out 2024 going into 2025, Dr. Streeter and John have been busy working on Biofield Viewer Live and making that so that we can bring that to everyone's mobile phones in the new year, and also establishing a community. We need more Biofield Viewer practitioners. I am lonely in Canada. I could use some more. So anyone watching the replay, I'd like a community of Biofield Viewer practitioners. I can't get to everyone in Canada. So I'm definitely putting a call out to all Canadian holistic energy healing practitioners, acupuncture, chiropractor, whatever it might be. We definitely need to bring Biofield Viewer to Canada. So this is my call out to you. And to anyone else, by all means, please, I encourage to join the Energy Medicine Exchange, to follow Dr. Streeter online. We're going to be having more sessions like this. If anyone is courageous enough to have a live Biofield Viewer session, we'd be more than happy to do an interpretation live for anyone
I'll
on
do it.
screen.
I'm going to do
Dr.
it.
Streeter?
I'm going to do it myself. Both you, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe all three of us should at least do it ourselves. We just actually show in real time what we're talking about. But the other thing is, yes, of course. I mean, we are speaking to anyone who is interested in perhaps in their chakras for the first time, and I think this really is an exciting moment. But as I said before, John and I have been doing this for a jolly long time. So though you are quite lonely in Canada at the moment, there are still quite a few practitioners in Canada. It's just that our philosophy is not to line up the ducks, if I could say that in very strange terms. And there are also hundreds of practitioners around the world. And because our system's been evolving under different names, I've certainly trained 15,000 people like yourself over these 30 years, and thousands of people have bought the system. So yes, we do want our family to grow because we believe that there should be a biofield imaging expert in every community. But that's all.
We have Graham's joining us.
Hi, Graham.
He's coming. He's on the other side of the globe, no?
New Zealand,
Yeah, he's
I
in
think.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
New
So it's
Zealand,
just,
wonderful.
And he's also, the thing is, he's not here yet, but he is one of our oldest colleagues. And I don't mean in terms of age, I mean in terms of skills and experience. So it is lovely to see you, Graham. Hi. And it's funny because I was about to mention him earlier. Perhaps he gets a chance to talk about his own experience with Biofield Viewer. But
Can we get Graham to join us on screen
I think
before we wrap up here?
maybe he's just on audio and his mic's muted. And he might not know how to unmute his own mic. Can you do it as the host?
I could ask to unmute.
Oh, you can only ask.
Yeah.
it's 6 a.m.
Oh, there he
well.
is. There he is. Hi, Graham.
Good morning. Early morning in New Zealand.
Well, fair
It's-
enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
We certainly gave him the opportunity. It may be a cheek dial. He may still be sleeping, and he's just kind of rolled over and hit the last link that he was looking at last night. So if not, Graham, either way, God bless you, mate. And I think you're right. I think we'll call our session to a close now. Invite everybody like crazy. In the chat box of this meeting, you see it says chat, and there's one, and it says need to catch a replay, Wi-Fi inconsistent here. Could it be McDonald? No, it's not McDonald. That's not right. I'm gonna have to remember who we're talking about. Thanks for being here. That's John. Okay, so perhaps in this chat box, could you share the link to our huge aura soul mirror window and the password and user name that are appropriate for our current open portal. Does that make sense?
Yes. Shall I use the newest
Yeah, I
one?
think that's probably the best thing. Yeah, because this is all still a follow-up, if you like, from an invitation we had to speak at a conference by Tatiana a few days ago. So it makes sense to now perhaps widen that window a little bit for others. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think probably we'll have to stay here and on long enough for that chat box entry to appear. So Tanya, that gives me the opportunity.
I'm just testing it. It's correct. Yes, that's correct.
And then the password
Yes.
and the doings.
Yeah.
So that gives me the opportunity to thank
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to head the Environmental Protection Agency, a cabinet post. Democrat officials told Politico.
Oh, we do love a bit of that. I mean, it was at least relevant. Perhaps not. Yeah, a relevant invasion. Okay, there we go. PPA 24. So any of you that are watching this video, can you, Tanya, on your screen, click open the chat box? Is that the one that gets recorded for everybody else?
I think it's recording. It's open on my screen. I'm hoping it's recording. If not,
right. No, I get that. Oh, I get that. But yeah, okay. So otherwise, just in case people who watch this recording don't get to see that chat entry, where we're guiding them to is hugeaura.com/soul mirror.
Yes,
John, is
with
that
a
right?
hyphen. Yes.
Hyphen between the soul and the mirror. So, and there's nothing.
That's it. The link here works.
I can repost the link when we post the video as well.
Just
the description.
And
yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. You could put it in the description. Okay, Tanya, you're an absolute genius. And then of course the password PPA24. Brilliant. Well, bye everybody. It's been an absolute joy. Tanya, it's
last
lovely
call for any questions. Thank you.
It's
questions,
been
comments.
No doubt for the future. God bless you all, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.